I have said what we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes or less than is the story of the year, and I am saying that because I think it is. It's the story of the year, at least in Division III basketball, and maybe the story of the year in college basketball when you're talking about more than basketball things. And I think it's the story of the year, maybe in all of Division III, period. If anyone doesn't know the story, it features a Gettysburg men's basketball senior, his coach, and the coach for Washington College. And we're going to get the story started tonight with the Gettysburg side of it. And joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is Coach George Petrie and Cory Weissman, the senior the story surrounds. Coach, Cory, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for taking the time to join us. I appreciate that. Let's start with the basics. After the freshman year of basketball, and during your freshman year, Cory, if I'm correct, you were having a workout and unfortunately suffered a pretty sizable stroke during that workout. And as they say, the rest of the story is from there, but the quick synopsis for anyone who's not aware, what happened next?
I had to go through, I would say, 3 of the hardest years of my life. I had surgery to remove the abnormal malformation, so I was safe as far as further strokes down the line. But I had a ton of rehab, and I've worked really hard until this past Saturday. When my dream pretty much came true, just to get back on the court.
Coach Petrie, you certainly saw Cory from all angles of this. He walked in from what some stories say, walked into your offices when he started his sophomore year and said, "Coach, I'm going to be helping you out no matter what it takes." And he's worked his way up to where he is now, at least practicing with the team and warming up with the team. We'll get to more about Saturdays. From your point of view, what's the trip been like?
I think it's been an unbelievable journey for Cory, and from the onset of the injury, his goal was to get back on the court, and he told me that's what he was going to do. And every day from that day forward, that's what he worked towards, and he accomplished it.
Cory, it must have been a blessing in disguise this past weekend. You, in high school, scored 1,000 points. I think you were 9th highest all-time at your high school in scoring. You certainly had a promising career ahead of you. Unfortunately, the stroke was there, but it seemed that basketball was your goal. While you knew you wouldn't have the same success, you still wanted to make your impression. You still wanted to seem, it seemed, to make your moment on that basketball court.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was, to be honest, it was a dream come true. Basketball's been my life, for as long as I can remember, and having such a successful basketball career, and taking advantage of or taking for granted what you have, suffering such a serious accident. Really put things in perspective for me, and I was just thankful to work my way back to where I am today.
Coach, at what point did you realize that Cory, A, was serious, and B, this could be a reality, that come his senior year, he just may be able to participate in some manner or fact, even in a game, even if it wasn't for long minutes at a time? But at what point did you see this road kind of heading in this direction?
Right from the onset of the injury. Anybody that knows Cory, he's a goal setter, and he sets out, and when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And that's what we liked about him as a recruit. He's a point guard, a take-charge guy, takes charge of the team. He organizes, he directs things. He's your coach on the floor. And he took that same approach with his injury and his rehab. And as we all know, rehab can be a really lonely road because although you have support, you have to do it yourself, and you have to put the time in and the work. And his goal was to get back on the court. And, at first it was little things, from being at practice and then getting into skill work and then getting into warm-ups. And, over time we started talking about, well, how can we get you in the game? How do we work this out with officials? Can you get in and shoot a technical foul? How do we get you on the floor? And, It's just like it was supposed to happen. In this game, the senior game, we wanted to get him into the starting lineup, and we were trying to figure out a way for it to happen. And, do we take a timeout? Do we foul? Do we, how do we do this? And we worked it out with Coach Nugent the night before the game that, we could orchestrate how we could start the game with Cory in the starting lineup and not have it be a problem for anybody. And, that worked out. And then the next thing that worked out was his teammates played so well and got a big enough a lead that there was an opportunity to actually get Cory in the game at the end of the game. And it's through his hard work, his teammates who, worked their butts off to allow the opportunity for Cory to get in the game. It was just a great moment.
Cory, I know it's been written up a few times, but what was your reaction when you found out, A, you'd be starting in the game beyond just hearing your name announced during senior day moments? I know that meant a lot to you, but being able to actually be announced as a starter, when you heard that was going to happen, what was your reaction?
To say I was speechless would, that'd be an underestimate. I was talking to my friend Tim, also a co-captain, who informed me that I would be starting, and I couldn't even talk to him. I said, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I can't talk to you right now. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I got back to my apartment as fast as I possibly could, and went up to my room, and I needed about a half hour by myself, just reflecting on how lucky I was after everything I'd been through to achieve my goal.
Cory, you get the chance to go in. Of course, you have to turn the ball over, unfortunately. I watched the video, chuck it out of bounds, and he gets subbed in for. I know that was an emotional moment for you. Did you think that was it? Did you think you just assumed the position on the bench as you had all season?
Yeah, besides messing up my assist-to-turnover ratio.
Yeah, I know. That stinks.
I did. I thought that was it. But, to be honest, if that was it, that would have been, also the greatest day of my life. I would never forget it. That was my goal since, my injury 3 years ago. I succeeded. It was a hard goal to, reach. But, I did. I stepped on the court. It was amazing to hear my name announced at the beginning. It was a long time since that's happened. I was really thankful for, our coaching staff to give me the opportunity to do that, as well as Coach Nugent for arranging the, opening game situation where I would throw the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of teamwork with Coach Nugent in Washington College. We'll be having him on in just a minute to talk about his point of view on it. But, Coach, I got to ask you, obviously you set this up with Coach Nugent, but then late in the game, it's in hand per se. You decide to put him back in. I've got to ask, first off, where did it come from? What crossed your mind to say, you know what, we're putting him back in the game?
Well, I felt that at the time we had command of the game, and the staff and I, we talked about, hey, we get down to 2 minutes, 1 minute there, I think we have an opportunity to put Cory in the game. We were playing zone. We could play him at the point of the zone, and based on everything he's done so far, I thought he could handle it. And, turned to him and said, hey, Cory, at that point, I said, hey, you want to go back in the game? He goes, you kidding me?
Sure.
So I said, get in there. And we put him up to the table and got in the game, and, the rest is history. Got in the game, and I think there was a score or two, but then Coach Nugent took a timeout, about 19 seconds to go or so, as I recall, and his assistant sort of came down our way and indicated that they were, going to foul Cory. And so, when they went back out, we just told the guys to get the ball to Cory on the inbounds play, and they got it to him, and Washington fouled him and had an opportunity to go to the foul line and score.
Cory,
It was a really classy act on Coach Nugent's part and his team, and an act of sportsmanship that you don't see very often.
No, you certainly do not. I've seen other things similar, but this takes it to a whole nother level. Cory, did you know they were going to foul you?
Yeah, I did. Coach Petrie, drew up a play. Which even
Hand
though,
the ball to him.
Even though they, I was being intentionally fouled, it was still amazing just to be, on the clipboard. He drew up a play for me to get, a screen to, come get the ball. So I thought that was pretty cool, even though they would have, allowed me to just get the ball without a play. But either way, I thought that was pretty cool. But he said, they're going to foul you, knock down your free throws, and, we'll enjoy the win.
I know I've read it several times, and I've heard you say it. You missed the first one. You had less pressure on you when you went for the second free throw?
Yes, 100% less pressure.
I've played this game when I was in junior high and high school, and I can't imagine having less pressure on the line. Tell everybody why it was less pressure.
Not only was it less pressure than the first one, that was, in all honesty, the most confident free throw I've ever shot in my life. For whatever reason, after I missed the first one, which I was a little nervous for, I said to myself after my teammate Tim Lang, said, all right, use some more legs, you're fine. I just kind of said to myself, 3 years, hard work, everything you've been through, there's no way the ball's not going in. So I just, went through my routine, shot the ball. I don't even remember it being in the air. I just remember seeing it go right through the net, perfect shot. Like an image I'll never forget.
Yeah, pretty cool image, to say the least. Obviously, this has gotten lots of attention, not only from D3Hoops.com and Hoopsville, but from other publications. I'm guilty of putting one of them on the air myself at my television station. But ESPN visits the college campus today, and I know your phones have been ringing off the hook. I know it's that wasn't the intent going in, Coach, but at the same time, it's got to feel good to tell a good story.
Well, I think with everything that's going on in sports today, that it's really nice to have a story like this, because I think a lot of people can identify with it, and with the struggle and the hard work that Cory's gone through and put into being successful on a day like that. It just all comes together. I'd like to say one other thing, that when Cory made that foul shot, I've never heard our gym so quiet. But when that ball went in, it was just an explosion of noise that just rocked the place. It was outstanding.
Cory, did you hear it? Did you hear all the reaction, or was it kind of you were in your own tunnel?
A little bit, a combination of both. Once it went in, I was still in a little bit of my own tunnel, and then even though I didn't actually get back on defense, when I turned around to at least jog back in the general direction, I heard how loud it was, and it made me feel really good.
What did Coach Nugent say to you, if anything?
Well, I actually went up to him. He congratulated me after the game, but I actually went up to him after the game, my family and I, and just thanked him for the opportunity. He's one of the classiest coaches, probably the classiest coach that I've ever, played against. For him to just, give me the opportunity to get to the free throw line, it was a dream come true. I couldn't have written a better script. So I just, I thanked him for, the opportunity, and just said that, a lot of other coaches wouldn't have done that. And he told me, I deserved it. I thanked him a lot. It was a really classy move on his part.
Cory, what is the future for you? Graduation post plans, etc. What is your focus?
I'm looking to go into physical therapy school.
Very impressive.
Yeah. My mom's a physical therapist, so I've always been exposed to that career, and I've always been interested. And coming into college, I was, debating whether I was going to go athletic training or physical therapy. So I was always leaning in the medical direction. But once I had my stroke and saw what all of my therapists, who were all incredible, what they were able to do for me, it really sealed the deal, and made me decide that this is what I'm going to do, no matter how hard it is. And I know that that's the next challenge in my life is first graduate here and then, graduate from PT school.
Sure.
That's not going to be easy at all. But
I can imagine. But hey, you've got a great way of being able to encourage your PT patients, should you be so lucky, with your own example. Coach, right. I think that's been lost in the shuffle as you became Gettysburg's all-time winningest coach in its history with this win as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's lost in the shuffle. I think it's an exclamation point by Cory's success and what he did. In fact, I told him after the game, some fan came up and brought me the ball and said, "Hey, here's your ball." And I said, "Hey, that's not my ball." I said, "That's Cory's." I said, "He deserves that. He's earned it." I was really glad to give it to him. So, it's always be a special day for me and my family that, Cory was able to do what he did. And it's a really special win for Cory and for the program. And we really appreciate all his efforts.
No, I think it was a classy act just to get him in the game in the first place, Coach. I know that sometimes gets overlooked by others. I want to congratulate you for that. Congratulations on the win total as well. And, Cory, congratulations on a heck of a recovery and being able to at least say you got to play in a collegiate game and get a point. I know you had a couple games your freshman year as well, but at least you have a point on your tally, and you'll get to go down in Gettysburg history accordingly. As always, we give the coaches the final word, and in this case, Cory as well. We'll start with Coach. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tonight?
No, I just think that Cory's inspiration to a lot of student athletes that play sports, and that when they come upon adversity, the one thing I've always been impressed with Cory about is that he never complained. Not once did myself or my staff or his teammates hear Cory complain. He just took charge of his injury. He took charge of his rehab and his life and moved forward with it. And I think that's just a great example for people, to respond to adversity.
Yeah, very impressive. Cory, any final thoughts you want to share?
Again, I just wanted to thank, my coaching staff, my coaches, Coach Petrie, and everyone else for giving me the opportunity. Obviously, Coach Nugent for giving me the opportunity to get back on the court. And I can't thank my family, my friends here at Gettysburg, my teammates, the athletic trainers, and just the school in general, from professors to advisors. It's not all about me. I've had, even though it's been a hell of a road, I've had so much support around me to lift me up, when I was down. So I just want to thank everyone for that.
Very good. Congratulations to you. Impressive that you've come so far, and I'm glad that we have an opportunity to talk to you about it and your coach about it. And I'm glad the rest of the college basketball world will find out more about it themselves if they haven't heard about it already. So congratulations to you, too. Thank you very much for joining us here on Hoopsville tonight. And, Cory, let us know how you're doing down the road, will you?
All right, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, take care. Cory Weissman and Coach George Petrie joining us here on Hoopsville. We're going to keep it here for just a moment as we get Coach Rob Nugent on the line from Washington College, the other side of the story, as it were. As they said, Coach Nugent was the one who came up with the idea of making sure to get Cory the chance to score a point or two in the basketball game. He was also part of the discussion to make sure that they could institute something at the beginning of the game that at least allowed Cory to technically start the game. And as he points out, it ruined his assist-to-turnover ratio as he had to turn the ball over at the beginning of the game, but nonetheless got that opportunity. We have our guest on the line, so we're going to go right to it and continue the Cory Weissman story. Coach Rob Nugent joining us from Washington College. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Dave, thank you for having me.
I certainly appreciate it. Listen, we've heard the story from Cory. We've heard the story from Coach Petrie about how Coach called you the night before and said, listen, I've got this guy. I want to get in the game. It's important to us to try and give some recognition to him. You guys kind of brainstorm. Tell it from your end.
They called and basically they didn't ask for anything. They just said they were going to start Cory and they were going to, if we won the tip, if we scored, that they'd call timeout to get him out, and if they won the tip, then they'd call timeout to get him out. And I said, I think it's great. And and I said, well, what happens if you lose by 2 points? And that was something that they were willing to do, and I said, well, I'm not willing to do that, so let's try to work out a way where we can get Cory on the floor and no team has to make a sacrifice. And I came up with the idea to make sure whoever won the tip kept the ball, and each team gets a turnover and we lose 3 or 4 seconds off the clock. Unfortunately, we hardly ever win tips. We won the tip, and
yeah, I noticed. And
Kevin Breslin happened to be standing next to Cory Weissman, so he handed it to Cory, so it had to be Cory to get the turnover. But that's how it went doon.
You weren't worried about how the jump ball situation would turn out?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't worried at all. I wish that I just wish that Cory didn't have to get the turnover. But hey, he got the ball, and at that point in time, we didn't know if he was going to get the ball. So
sure.
It was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you joining us here tonight to talk about this. I've always been I've always known that you've run a certain type of program at Washington College, and if anyone has seen the documentary this year, they certainly see your team in that light. And I'm glad it was kind of you guys in some senses. But talk me through the end of the game. Coach Petrie says they were up a comfortable margin, and his coaching staff have been talking for a couple of minutes of game action about trying to get Cory back in, and said, this is the right time. Obviously, you weren't part of that conversation. Tell me what went through your mind when you saw Cory check back in the game.
Well, I saw Cory at the scorer's table, and obviously at that time I didn't say anything, but you knew that you had to do something. And as soon as he checked in, our assistant Bob Hughes was screaming at me, "Hey, we got to do something! We got to do something!" He came up with every idea known to man as what you could do to assist Cory in scoring, and I told him no, but no meant not right now. There's 50-something seconds left. Let me process this and figure out what I feel, I guess, is the best way to make that happen, and that could honor the moment. And I decided that the best thing to do was to foul him and make him go to the free throw line. And as a competitor, I think he'd rather want to go there and take the opportunity to earn those points rather than have the seize part and let him lay the ball in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, there's lots of ways of doing it. There's let the seize part, as you point out, and let him get a layup on his own. And there's obviously other ways of doing it. So you felt that he would appreciate it more if he really earned them.
Yeah, I do. I certainly don't know. I haven't talked to Cory about that, but I felt as a competitor myself, and certainly looking at I've had some rehab, but it was nothing next to what Cory's had. I busted my knee, back in high school, and it took me a long time to get back, and that's a sliver of what Cory had to go through. But just having to go through something like that and getting back out, it's going to mean a lot more to you if you earn it. And he had to earn it like any other player. He went to the free throw line, and in fact, the pressure on the free throws had to be as great as going to the line, I think, to win the game.
Yeah, I got to ask, how long have you known about Cory's story? I know being in the Centennial Conference, there's a good chance you knew about this story. I know there were some reporters in my own newsroom who actually remembered his story. How long have you known about it?
I was aware of it shortly after it happened. The assistant coach at Gettysburg College, Stuart Petrie, was one of my assistants here. So we're very friendly, and I'm friendly with Coach Petrie. And Darryl Keckler, who's at Drew is an assistant there and helped recruit Cory, and he and I are pretty friendly as well. So I was aware of it. I didn't know Cory, but I was aware of the situation. Probably the fall after it happened, maybe even that summer.
So curious, you decided to send your assistant coach down to let them know you intend to foul Cory. Was that just to make sure he got the ball?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's 19 seconds left, and if the ball doesn't go the right way, you never know what can happen. And I wanted to try to make sure he got the ball and just to let them know what we were doing, so that no one thought that we were trying to do something underhanded.
I saw something interesting on the video when I've watched it a few times of him walking down to the line to take his free throws. There's obviously a lot of applause going on, a lot of players. I see Gettysburg's side of the floor. I don't see your side. I see them rise on the bench. I saw some of your guys applauding on the free throw line. Did your guys appreciate his story? What did you tell them in the timeout? I mean, how did that progress?
They were aware of his story. I'm not sure how many knew of his story prior to Saturday morning when we, briefed them on what was going to happen for the start of the game. But they were all aware of what was going to happen, of his story at that point in time, and every single one of them was. I mean, we were all frustrated in ourselves in the way we had played, and the fact that we didn't have a chance to win the game, but that paled in comparison to the opportunity that was in front of us to allow a young man live a dream that I'm sure that he and many others thought might never come true.
Another element of this story that maybe some people don't realize is that Washington College named him the honorary shoreman of the week, and I'm talking about Cory Weissman. That's a pretty significant honor for a school to give an opposing player. Whose idea was that?
I'm not sure. That Phil Tickner in the Sports Information Office, I'm not sure how they come up with that. I'm glad that they did. I had no part in that, but, just as he was deserving to have the opportunity to earn some points on Saturday, he's very deserving of being the honorary shoreman of the week.
And of course, lots of attention has come since then. You're certainly familiar with being in front of a camera thanks to that documentary following you guys this season. But ESPN, you've had plenty of phone calls. I know you've been interviewed. Has it been almost a little overwhelming?
I don't know about overwhelming. It's been overwhelming on the email and on the phone. And I'm very appreciative of all that. For anyone out there listening, I really appreciate that. But I'm trying to reply to every email I get, and I will continue to do that. It's coming a little slowly as we prepare to play here on Saturday. It's a little humbling and at the same time a little embarrassing, as I've said a couple of times already, that this story is about Cory Weissman and all that he's overcome, and the successes that he's been able to gain out of that. And we should be a passing note in that story, but unfortunately, most people expect the worst of humanity, and I try to expect the best of humanity, and we tell our players all the time that and if you've watched the documentary pieces, I'm sure you've heard it. We tell them that our goal is to do the right thing because it's the right thing, no matter how it affects you. And ultimately, when you do the right thing, in that brief moment, it might not affect you the way you'd like it to, but it'll probably end up being having a positive effect on your life, but more importantly, the lives of others. And that's probably the main pillar here in our program. And I think one of the things that can help create good leaders, and and that's kind of what we're about here.
Coach, I've said this to you in private, but I'll say it in public. I've already had a tremendous respect for yourself and your program, and of course Washington College in general. I think you guys run a great show over there. I think you guys do the right thing, as you point out, and I think you teach your student athletes the right messages for sure. I just want to say right now that what you guys did on top of the opening tip, which was classy, I think, on both sides, but to think about Cory and to find a way to make him have a bigger moment, as it were, was an even classier move on your parts. And I just want to say, as I get a little lump in my throat, congratulations on that. And I have even more respect for you guys, and I have more respect for you yourself and your coaching staff for what you guys did and making Cory a bigger part of the story. And thank you for that from I think everybody at Division III.
Well, I appreciate that, and like I said, Cory's a story, and we're happy that we were very happy to be there on that day and witness and experience that whole atmosphere, especially at the end. I wish we had been up and they put them in because the game was over on our end. But, that's not how life plays out all the time.
Absolutely. Obviously, a lot ahead of you. We'll hopefully be talking with you more about Centennial basketball in the future. But in the meantime, I'll let you go and get back to your hard work for this weekend. But any final thoughts you want to share with those out there?
What I don't hear many people say is, none of this would have happened obviously without Cory and his story, and this is really about Cory, but also without Coach Petrie reinserting him into the basketball game.
Yep.
That is, we would have never had the opportunity to give Cory the opportunity if Coach Petrie and his staff hadn't done that. And I thought that was a real classy move, and And I'm very, very happy for everyone involved that he did do that. And I know this is about Cory, but Coach Petrie also set the all-time wins in Gettysburg history that day. And I didn't really get a chance to. I did congratulate him late. I only saw him briefly after the game, after we broke from the locker room. But I did get a chance to congratulate him. But that also is commendable. But I'm sure he's more than happy to share this with Cory.
Absolutely, that's what he indicated to us. So, hey, Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Take care.
You too. Take care, sir.
Coach Nugent joining us from Washington College. We're going to take a short break, but first let me just say that both coaches not only did their schools proud, they did the Centennial Conference proud, they did Division III basketball proud, they did Division III proud, and they did NCAA proud. As both coaches have said, there's way too much talk about the negatives in college sports. And one thing I love about Division III is we don't have a lot of negatives to talk about. We've had our fair share. In our minds, that's a small percentage of what other schools have. But for these guys, they made their schools, their conference, their division, and NCAA in general proud. And I couldn't be more prouder to at least be associated in some small way. And forgive me for being emotional, but these are the types of stories that really tug at my heartstrings. These guys show there's more than basketball, there's more than players, and there's more than a game on the line sometimes. There's life on the line. And these guys deserve a lot of credit for giving one guy the opportunity to not only start but ultimately play in a game and score a point when 3 years ago that looked pretty much impossible. So thank you to Coach Petrie, thank you to Coach Nugent, thank you to Cory Weissman for being one heck of an inspiration and why I say this is the story of the year in college basketball. We'll be back after this.